And welcome back, everyone, to more Black Twitch League action. Game 3 between Barber's Fanclub and Team Ishtar, and we are racing through draft here as we get on to the Rift with game number 3. Team Ishtar looked really, really good in game number 2. They looked really good.
Yeah, definitely. I think that their early game was a lot better than it was in the first game, and I think that because of that, they were able to give themselves a lot better of a situation to play around to their bot side. We do see the Zeri picked up by Barber's Fanclub, still 100% first pick right currently.
Yep, and the reply is going to be that Jinx. So we didn't see the Jinx throughout this series. Yeah, no more Kog'Maw, no more anything. Granted, the Kog'Maw did do really well, but the Jinx gives you that reset potential that you didn't have with that Kog'Maw in game number 1, and of course not being able to pick up that Zeri. Interesting to see it wasn't banned though. That's the more interesting thing for me.
Yeah. Interesting to see. We do see. What's really interesting to see actually for me was the Yuumi ban from Barber's Fanclub, considering that they were the ones that are going to pick up the Zeri. And on top of that, you end up banning away the Jarvan too. They obviously felt like Roberto was in their elements. So we're gonna see the go away from there, and a possible. Wow.
Yeah, we see the Graves picked up, the Lulu picked up here. The Nautilus going to be that answer into the Zeri once again. But this time, Vaperto says, let's pull out the pig. Sejuani going to be that option here for Vaperto here. And this is an interesting pickup considering what we see right now. A Nautilus and a Jinx. It's pretty low damage unless you get a kill in these fights right now.
Yeah, Nautilus it's gonna be, honestly, I think it's gonna be a little hard for Barber's Fanclub to try to get through this frontline Nautilus Sejuani so far, especially if this Graves is going to one of the side lanes. But it's gonna be really interesting to see what kind of jungle they have to possibly answer this really strong frontline so far. It's gonna have to be. Okay, we have the Victor too, so we do have some punishments to attempt the dive this Jinx. As we see the Camille come through, we're gonna have to see a really strong. Probably this Graves goes jungle, although I do think lethality mid Graves is good. We're gonna have to see a really strong AP mid laner, which will probably be coming here on B5.
Yeah, and Barber's Fanclub, of course, with Bio being the jungler. Bio did play a lot of Graves last season of Black Twitch League, so not out of the realm of possibility, but looks like Anai going to pull the Orianna here. So very much akin to what you were saying in the pregame here. They're moving away from this hyper dive, like assassin sort of deal. They're going with the Camille and they're going with the Orianna. So a little bit more well-rounded champions in a lot of ways. Not so one-dimensional.
Yeah, definitely. And it's definitely. Wow, we have the Mordekaiser too. Interesting. I don't know. It's a little interesting. I think Ori won't necessarily be able to punch through these tanks as well. But of course, that's if the tanks get to this hyper tank status necessarily. That we can see Sejuani, for example, get to it a lot of times. And I think the Barber's Fanclub is a lot better than it was last game. But at the same time, Ishtar still has that Jinx that is always going to be a little bit of a scary thing to play into because get excited.
Yeah, and get excited can be so strong in the right hands. But of course, as we prep for Game 3 draft here, we have to take a look at what has happened thus far this series. And a lot of this series has been predicated around whether Pixelwolf and Bio, whether they're able to perform up to standards. And in a lot of ways, in that first game, it was the Bio, the Anai, the Watoted show, and they were able to sort of take over that game. But last game, we just saw that they weren't able to get off of the ground as well as they had. Watoded's had a great series thus far, but this time, just staying right away from the Akali here. It was actually banned out, but just trying to basically simplify things a little bit in this draft. What do we need to see out of the players specifically here I guess, is the real question from the side of Barber's Fan Club to maintain their status here as the strongest team in the BTL.
Yeah, I mean, I think this bot lane's going to be kind of a wash. And so Graves is a champion who's not gonna he's gonna power farm a lot. But I think that he definitely would serve well to go to this top side to try to put pressure on to this Mordekaiser, not allow them to just get the pure 1v1 that a Mordekaiser would probably enjoy into the Camille. Because this Camille is going to do a lot of your work into the late game, especially because this Camille is your only real way of entering a lot of these team fights and starting them your way. And from the side of Ishtar, though, obviously they're going to want to kind of just let this Mordekaiser kind of play in the 1v1, play around this death realm. They get ganked. Hopefully they can get a solid 1v2 off with that death realm, or at least trade 1-for-1. But otherwise, yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. You want to go to this bot side. You want to play around this Jinx and you want to play around this Nautilus. If you got the Nautilus, might as well use it, kind of thing.
Yeah, and of note here, you've got 2 melee champions alongside this Sejuani here. Sejuani, a champion that really likes to be with other melee champions. And here, you only have that Mordekaiser as your sort of solo laner to set up for your ganks here. Does that mean Viperto has to play differently this game because they don't really have anyone else to set up their ganks for them?
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily. I don't think it'll change the way they might path or play the game overall. I think it would just be nicer to have extra around elsewhere. But sorry. On the topic of that melee bonuses that they grant you as a Sejuani, I definitely think this game could be a Nash's Tooth game for Tygoon. We don't see it a lot, but I definitely think it would be suited here.
Interesting take there, but of course, once we get into this mid game, this late game here, what's sort of the game plan for both of these teams in terms of team fights? Because Orianna Ball, super, super powerful if you're able to get it off, but what's the game plan around it? How are you getting this Orianna into a situation where she can get those big ultimates? What's the game plan for mid game?
Well, I think it's going to be purely around this Camille. I think both Lulu Ultimate and Orianna Ball will probably be committed to this Camille a lot in these late game fights. You ult in, get Lulu ulted to knock surrounding people up as well as give yourself a little bit of that extra beefiness. And Orianna ult following afterwards should grant you a pretty good team fight overall.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes on how they want to play out these mid game fights. But on the flip side, what does Tygoon need to do here on this Mordekaiser? This is sort of the X Factor pick that we were talking about here in draft. Last picking that Mordekaiser. What's its role in this game?
I mean, I think Mordekaiser is always a champion that's just looking for that 1v1. I think you're going to be purely predicated around that 1v1, and I think they need to understand that and really look forward to possible ganks that could come their side as well. And try to ward ahead of that as well, not let that happen as easily.
Yes, and of course, final question here. 1-for-1 in terms of your predictions here. Who's taking game 3?
Man, I hate to say it. Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but I'll go. Oh, I gotta go Barber's Fan Club for this one.
Oh, so straying away from the loyalty there. No team loyalty for Haji, of course. But we're going to head into our Speculate once again. And when we're back, we will be watching Game 3 of Barber's Fan Club versus Team Ishtar. Who will end up taking the series? We'll be right back after this break.
Short King.
And welcome back to more Black Twitch League action. As I'm being called the Short King, even though I am way taller than my co-caster, I'm Haji. We're back onto the Rift, and once again, nothing special at level 1. The runes, they look pretty straightforward, but regardless of what the runes are, what the level 1 is, no one cares about that. Everyone cares about the bigger implications of this game, Haji.
Yeah, like, how tall are you?
6'5".
God damn, okay.
Yeah, so hold this L and take this ratio and no maidens. There we go.
Damn, you're 6'5"? That's crazy.
Yes.
Fucking bean sprout.
Regardless, here we are on to the Rift. Nothing special has happened in this early game. 3 games, no level 1 shenanigans. It is a catastrophe.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure what you were expecting, Adam. I don't know what level 1 you were expecting. We see the red trinket. We see the. What do you mean it's a not? What is the Nautilus gonna do? Just
hook
sacrifice
someone.
their life to get a hook? Ah, crazy.
Yes. That's what you expect. Whenever there's a Blitzcrank, you're like, oh, invade, invade, invade. When there's a Thresh, you'd expect that too. When there's a Nautilus, you'd expect that, but nope. No invades ever here. But regardless, we're into this game here. My dog is begging for food next to me as well. But we are into this game. And I already taken a little bit of chip damage here from Face to the Wind.
Yeah, and a little bit chippy in the mid lane. Not too crazy. Ori with her ball is always going to be. I do value. I don't know how to say this. There's champions who don't have. Their range is very requirement-less. Like they don't have to aim it in a certain way. There's no real. There's no real, what's it called, animation for it either. And both Victor and Ori are very similar to that. However, Ori is even more free in regards to that because her ball can come from anywhere. So,
yeah, the ball can just sort of run into Face of the Wind, and immediately you get the extra damage of the Q plus the W, then you just use your E as well to be able to sort of stack up the damage as well. Of note, Face of the Wind taking the Electrocute here, the Airy going to come through for Anai, so some slightly typical runes. I want to say like this was typical last season in terms of the runes for these 2 champions.
Yeah, it's a little bit shocking for the Victor to pick up this Electrocute this season at least. But a little bit interesting, and Anai is a little rapidly running out of
Took
mana,
cookies.
but they do have 2. Yeah, they did.
They took cookies there, so they're going to be able to keep that resource stacked up. And Haji, what do you think of cookies?
Think it's a crazy road. really crazy. No, I don't like them. I think it's a bad rune just because like you're basically saying that you can't lane correctly, you can't like lane optimally at least, and so like you're gonna have to rely on those cookies to give you extra like bonuses in lane. But neither here nor there. You know, they've got them, so be interesting to see how they use them.
Yeah, and counterpoint, Faker uses cookies, so that means it's the best rune in the game. So, regardless here, you can see junglers trying to make something happen in this early game. Viperto ends up showing there. Bio showed mid lane there. This is the quietest early game that we've had thus far. We haven't had our first blood quite yet, but Viperto's wrapping around. Pixel Wolf actually going to get charged in through the wall. It's going to force the flash out of Pixel Wolf there. Gonna force a couple of summoners, at least the one summoner out from Pixel Wolf. So as I say that it's a quiet early game, we end up getting a little bit of action now. Face the Wind in a little bit of a hairy situation, and Nai forced the flash away, and it will just be the solo kill as Rainbow Tails now the one taking the brunt of that damage. Frostbite gets exhausted as well. Pixel Wolf gotta dodge away from those traps, but will not be able to do so, and it's gonna be Chicken the Wing able to reply with one on the bottom side of the map. So the caster curse strikes again. We say it's a quiet game, and then 2 kills back to back there, as it is 1 for Anai and 1 for Chicken the Wing. And now Bio up on this top side. The hookshot wall dive going to land. Watoded going to force the flash away from Tygoon.
That's 2 games in a row that Viperto is able to get a little bit of, pushing down that bot. Gets a gank off and burns a flash off Pixel Wolf. and it's followed up by a kill this time. It's not the initial gank that kills, but the second initial follow up by this bot side will pick up Pixel Wolf, and now we have another solid lead here in the bot lane.
The lead going to start to extend here. Of course, the kill does go over to the Nautilus, but I can relate to another big League of Legends personality in the sense that I believe, in the same vein as Medic, that supports deserve all the money in the world. So it's going to be that the extra gold going into Chicken the Wing. And realistically, though, it does help get that first spike. You know, supports are defined by their mythic items, so them picking up kills until they're mythic isn't always the worst case scenario.
Yeah, it's not just Medic either. LS has said before about how he believes that, you know, supports. He's a big trade mid lane.
Oh my goodness, yeah, Face of the Wind forced to flash out of that one, but yes, LS has said, everyone's favorite Cloud9 coach. Wait a sec.
Yeah, LS has come out and said a few times about how supports picking up these early kills aren't too bad, being able to get these, you know, earlier support items as well as those earlier mythics, and how supports, they dictate a lot of that early game, and thus are able to get a lot of that early game priority for their ADCs a lot easier.
Oh my goodness, but Bio trying to get a little bit of early game priority in their own right. Going way in onto Viperto. Viperto already burned that flash. Bio flashing that wall and showing us why this Graves is to be feared. Now Frostbite, though, moving up with this Jace, takes a whole chunk of damage. Chicken the Wing, short arms the Dredge line, ends up hooking into the wall, forced to flash out of there. But Barber's Fanclub putting down the pressure in this early game on this bottom side of the map as Tygoon takes a decent chunk of damage there from the tower and from Watoda. Oh,
yeah.
Bio looking for that last little bit of damage. The Aftershock actually going to save Chicken the Wing as well, but now Frostbite in a hairy situation. Some damage coming down from all sides, but I don't think this dive is going to be successful. My goodness, there's a lot of action everywhere.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of action. This lethality Graves able to create a lot more mayhem in this early game for Barber's Fanclub. And doing pretty well for themselves so far was is Bio on this Graves.
Yeah, Bio has done a great job of putting the pressure down, really punishing Viperto for the sort of weak early game that Sejuani can have. If you're able to pop that passive in a team fight, she's going to be really squishy, and you can see that Sejuani, she's a champion that starts to come online around one item in a lot of ways, and this game especially...
Might see her come online in this top, though.
Yeah, we can see Viperto is on that top side of the map. Watoted, able to get away with the hookshot wall dive. Of note, Mordekaiser, Bomby Cinder.
Yeah, very interesting. I think it's probably going to be possibly like a Frostfire. It looks like looks like they're really, if you see something like this, like a tank Mordekaiser, a lot of times it's because you look at the enemy team and think that they don't have a lot of, you know, good damage when it comes to like AP damage. And so it really kind of points to me that they think they're going to be able to out tank the side of Barber's Fanclub here.
Speaking
with the
of
Sejuani
which,
and Mordekaiser.
And I, with the solo kill in the mid lane, able to land that command Shockwave into the command Attack, into the command Dissidence, into the command Death. As you say, Face of the Wind, unable to stay alive from that one, as Anai able to pick up another kill in the mid lane.
Yeah, Anai's actually putting on a clinic so far in this lane, really putting the pressure on Face of the Wind. That's the second kill for Anai here, and it's feeling pretty hurt if you're Face of the Wind having to deal with this at this point.
And on the top side of the map, though, Tygoon going to take Watoda down into the Death Realm, otherwise known as the place where you go to die. I don't know where I was going with that one, but Tygoon able to pick up that solo kill there. Has the Bomby Cinder, also has the Blasting Wand, so has enough to be able to kill down Watoda. And once again, Tygoon with a very substantial CS lead there. Watoda has had a couple of lanes where they've been able to get kills and be really far down in CS. They also had that other lane earlier where they were down in CS and down a kill. This seems to be that situation once again, as despite Barber's Fanclub having a little bit of that extra gold from the kill, the CS gap is making up for that in spades up on that top side for Tygoon.
Yeah, definitely. Tygoon getting them their own big lead over their lane partner. Both solo lanes kind of, you know, switched between the two teams. whereas Anai is ahead and Tygoon is ahead. Um, and here on the bot side, we have a slight lead, for this side of Team Ishtar on this Jinx.
Yeah, you can see the Jinx right now with that assist, but a chick in the wing gonna go down, so Bio gonna be able to pick that one up. Vaperto has moved over to the side here, trying to find some sort of engage, but this is a 4v2 here, as it ends up being, oh, the Glacial Prison gonna come down and keep them alive, but this is looking mighty tough on the bottom side of the map as Frostbite here, taking a decent chunk of damage. Pixel Wolf gonna move forward and pick that one up. Vaperto now trying to tank that one up, but the dive comes through on the second half, and Anai gonna be able to pick that one up. All you can say is they had us in the first half, not gonna lie, as the Barber's Fan Club go for the redive, and they're able to pick up the last 2 kills.
Yeah, definitely, and Team or Barber's Fan Club are starting to edge themselves further and further ahead. Able to pick up Pixel Wolf an extra kill here as well, and now they've enabled, or they furthered this lead just from the mid lane down into the bot lane as well. Although Watoted is still kind of hurting.
Yeah, Watoted still having a real rough go of things, down 40 CS, taking a whole chunk of damage from everyone around them, as Tygoon has been able to do this rather consistently on the top side. Laning phase has done really good things for Tygoon. It's just the mid game where Watoded's able to group up with the team, they're able to call for some resources, and they're able to punish. And Bio coming up here to clear out this wave here just means that this is farm that Watoded isn't able to pick up. This CS gap is like reaching critical mass. It's about 50 CS right now.
50 CS at 12 minutes is it's not a great time. It's not a good good situation here for Watoted at all. And the scary thing is going to be in these later game fights where Watoted might be just kind of a paper mache.
Or where Rainbow Tails is taking a bunch of damage here. Chick in the wing going to be moving forward, able to pick up another kill. Unfortunately, not going over to Frostbite once again as the Bloodthirsty support strikes once again. On this top side of the map, Tygoon and Vaperto now going to try and put the hurt down onto Watoted here. Watoted taken down into the Death Realm. Tygoon.
Okay.
Okay. Tygoon goes down. Watoted now looking for the 2v1 here as Vaperto gonna try and finish this one off. Uses that ultimate. Will not be able to find that last. Ooh, finally is able to get that last auto attack, but Watoted almost outplaying that one. Yeah, that wasn't the best dive.
Yeah, Tygoon really didn't think that went through with that ultimate at all. Vaperto still had ultimate, so definitely could have just let Vaperto tank that with ultimate. But it is what it is. They do get the crash at least, and they're able to pick up Watoted in the end, even though they end up trading Tygoon's life over for it.
An unfortunate situation, to say the least. And that's all we can say.
That's not what you're looking for Team Ishtar. You much would have rather just a clean, deathless dive, but it is what it is.
It'll buff.
We're gonna have.
That's what the cool kids say, right? It'll buff. Eventually, it may end up paying off, but right now, what isn't buffing is Bio sort of sitting behind the tower and taking advantage of Frostbite walking up. No vision and no life either there, as Bio has had a fantastic early game thus far.
Yeah, definitely. This lethality Graves is putting in some serious damage, and it's going to be a little scary as this game goes on, and this damage just keeps increasing because they are already kind of two-shotting these champions, specifically Frostbite.
I mean, this is the first game where Frostbite really hasn't been able to find any sort of tangible advantages for themselves. Watoted on this top side of the map. This is typical for these matchups, 60 CS lead for Tygoon. Now Vaperto moving up to this top side of the map again to try and punish Watoted once again. There is the chance of the ultimate coming through. There it goes, as Vaperto going to be able to land some damage down. Great hook from Chick in the Wing to be able to interrupt the wall dive there. But Tygoon able to find themselves another kill on this top side, as Watoted just going to be the weak side warrior this game, I think.
Watoted just has to make sure they don't go down severely enough that Tygoon is able to make substantial damage themselves, but definitely very behind now, and it might cause problems as this game goes on.
Yeah, as the game progresses, you've got to always keep your eye out on how your side lanes are doing. Side lanes can be incredibly important, and especially when you draft a Camille who's meant to thrive in the side lane, when she's down 70, yes, 72 CS to a Mordekaiser, that's not a good look, especially when the Mordekaiser has 2 completed items here at 15 minutes while you're still working on your first one. It is really unfortunate because you will never be able to match Tygoon in the side lane now until you get yourself, at least 2 items as Face to the Wind. Just going to be able to walk around Bio right now, force a flash as well, but is going to be the collateral damage cleaning that one up. Now Bio, though, no flash, no ultimate, going to be in a little bit of a sketchy situation here. It's going to be Tygoon teleporting in for the kill as, once again, this Mordekaiser is starting to get really big here. And if we look at it, that gold lead is not what it used to be. In fact, it isn't. There is no gold lead. We are dead even here at 16 minutes.
Yeah, Tygoon putting in some serious work so far in this game, and the question is going to be, as they're building up this tankiness, is if, Pixel Wolf is... Ooh, wow.
Yeah, Tygoon actually just going to say, forget about it. And you don't have flash, you don't have ultimate, or you do have ultimate, you're not going to use it. You're going to get taken down as flash forward, gets the Death Realm. That's going to be another kill picked up by Tygoon in this side lane, and my goodness, this Mordekaiser. We talked about it as that X-Factor pick. It has been quite the X-Factor. It sort of just takes any sort of mid-game potential now away from Barbara's Fanclub, at least in terms of getting the Camille-Orianna combo down. But Pixel Wolf getting ulted, gonna have to try and deal with Frostbite. That's enough damage, though, coming out from Pixel Wolf. Those are some big shields coming through. Zeri gonna be doing Zeri things. Lightning Crash comes down. All the stacks coming down for Pixel Wolf as well, as she's able to pick herself up 2 kills there, her first 2 kills of the game, as Zeri Gaming is online.
Yeah, that's that is a Zeri Gaming moment right there. As it's gonna be really interesting to see this game go on and see if Tygoon is gonna be able to pull themselves fully into this game and allow their team to kind of recover a bit and allow this, this Jinx to get fully online, and this Victor to get fully online, because as it is currently, it's Tygoon kind of against the world.
Yeah, Tygoon has to be the main carry of this game. It has to be some sort of 1v9 potential coming through, but Viperto, Pixel Wolf, gonna go down from a long range, a super mega death rocket from Frostbite. Well played by the Jinx to get on the board, pick up that shutdown, and, maybe it isn't quite Tygoon against the world. Viperto's doing a pretty good job of staying relevant as well.
Yeah.
Chicken wing.
Chicken wing.
Yeah. And now I'm gonna be able to pick that one up. A little bit too greedy moving forward there, but that's another kill picked up by Barbara's Fanclub as they keep going blow for blow, inch for inch. They are staying so close in terms of the gold. It's basically dead even. It's like an 100 gold lead for either team at a single point in time.
Yeah, and really it's where those gold leads are placed. Realistically, I mean, for the side of Barbara's Fanclub, obviously Graves is going to be heavily up. We have really up, and even Pixel Wolf a bit up as well. Whereas, however, on the other side, you have a 4K gold lead for the side of Tygoon. So it's going to be up to Tygoon really to kind of put this game in their hands. Ask for the rock and try to push their team to the spot they need, because they do need Tygoon to get them across this line and allow Praise to the Wind as well as Frostbite to get back into this game, similarly to their opponents.
Yeah, they've got to make sure that they can hold the door in a lot of ways. It has to be like Tygoon is running the show at this point, but you need to still have some contributions from elsewhere around the map, specifically Frostbite, especially on this Jinx. It's a champion that requires a lot of resources and a lot of things to go your way, but this Dragon, for one, maybe going the way of Team Ishtar here, preventing that soul point potential, but yeah, it's going to be secure, but the fight starts to erupt here. Bio on that side, trying to fight Frostbite, but Frostbite doing a great job of kiting that one out. Viperto taking a decent chunk of damage. Isn't a 1v3 for the time being. Will get taken down as a Knight takes down Chicken the Wing as well. This fight on the opposite side is not going the way they wanted to. Tygoon going to be trying to take someone down to the death realm at some point with Toaded trying to escape, trying to deal some sort of damage. Will be able to wall dive over the wall, but ends up being the Dragon picked up by Team Ishtar, but 2 members go down as the price.
Yeah, and you can see here at the end where Tygoon, doing a lot of damage, taking none. But the problem was the Tygoon wasn't there for the actual fight. So at the end of the day, they are going to go down 2 members, but Team Ishtar is still able to pick up that extra dragon and kind of give themselves a little bit more breathing room as they don't have to worry about a soul in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, and if you look at it, the Graves now has that Black Cleaver to cut through some of that front line that has already erupted here. You can see the Iceborne now complete on Vaperto as well, the Frostfire Gauntlet, sorry, as well as on Tygoon. You can see Tygoon is on 3 items at this point. It's just starting to become quite the difficult situation for anyone not named Graves to try and cut through this front line.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit difficult. However, Pixel Wolf on the Zeri, and Zeri does. Wow, okay.
Frostbite's dead.
Yeah, that's the power. That's the power of lethality Graves. I was about to say that Zeri synergizes exceptionally well with a Black Cleaver, but it looks like we might just lose a Baron at 20 minutes. And unfortunately, Tygoon doesn't even have TP to get up here.
Yeah, Tygoon did use that teleport in the last fight. Wasn't even able to pick up a kill for it, but Vaperto is still up and available. They've gotten a Baron steal once already in this series. Potentially looking for that in this game. The gold is still relatively close. As we said, lots of gold on the important members. A big Super Mega Death Rocket gonna poke out some damage. Vaperto's still trying to find a way in, but Face of the Wind has found the damage! That's 2 kills picked up for this Victor's bio. Now trying to find the fight. Gonna get pulled into the death room. Tygoon walked all the way up, and Tygoon will get the shutdown, and all of a sudden this Baron might be Team Ishtar's to take.
You're talking about Vaperto, Tygoon, Frostbite. None of these guys matter. Face to the Wind is the one who's able to kind of save their butts with a huge... Oh, wow. An absolutely huge gravity well and death laser over the top, dropping the chaos storm on top of that, and is able to pick up 2 kills and secure his team the Baron. Absolutely disgusting from Face of the Wind. Was not expecting that at all from them.
No, and I mean, that's what caught us off guard so much. We were looking at Vaperto. We were like, okay, Vaperto, you're going for the steal, right? And Face of the Wind says, nope, we're going for the play. Also, fun fact, everyone calls Victor W Gravity Well. What's the skill name of that? You can look at it. You can hover over it. Where is Victor? Victor. It's just called Gravity Field. It's the weirdest Mandela effect I think I've ever heard, and it comes from casters. Like, LCS casters have always been like the Gravity Well from Victor. No, it's Gravity Field.
I think it was
like,
changed.
It's the biggest Mandela effect ever. Like,
was it changed at some point? It could have been changed.
I don't think it has been. It was ever changed.
Like Twitch alt.
Twitch alt.
Like spray and pray and rat-a-tat-tat.
Spray and pray, rat-a-tat-tat. Those ones they're fine, but I mean, they kind of get used interchangeably. But I don't think Victor W was ever called Gravity Well. We can get a history check on that. If someone in Twitch chat wants to look that up, I'm happy. But it is the weirdest Mandela effect ever, and completely off topic. But yeah, there we go.
You're talking about Victor from Arcane, just to be clear?
Victor from Arcane. Silco from TFT? Oh my goodness, where is he?
Big engage,
Never mind. Oh yeah. Lulu almost taken right down with Toaded, trying to deal damage to Tygoon. Tygoon says no, you're not allowed to do that. Granted, Tygoon's taking a decent chunk now from Watoted, although this fight may not go the way they're looking for. Tygoon goes golden to stay alive as finally the Divine Sunder comes through with that damage. A 9 now forced to run for the hills as Bio really unable to find any sort of way into that fight. Dragon is spawning and the health bars aren't necessarily in the best of shapes for the side of Team Ishtar, but the teleport back in from Tygoon means that they are able to join the fight. And this Dragon seems to be pretty securely in Team Ishtar's favor.
Yeah, definitely. It's looking a little bleak for Barbara's fan club here, as they're starting to lose multiple fights in a row now. After it's looking, shades of game 1 where they had a decent early game and then lost that pivotal Baron that gave Team Ishtar a way back in. However, Team Ishtar is not behind that much this time.
it isn't as big of a behind. Well, they aren't behind. They're ahead. That's the joke, right? So regardless, Chicken the Wing getting caught out a little bit, force the flash, gonna get a decent dredge line down, but lots of damage still coming down. That Divine Sunder is starting to do work, but so is Frostbite here. Oh, but the Shockwave gonna be able to clean up that Jinx as Tygoon comes in from the side, but a double kill for Victor. He was in Arcane. He was really strong there, and is gonna pick up another couple of kills there. Here comes the fight, though, as Tygoon now trying to fight off Pixel Wolf as well. Huge shield going to come down as well. Bio trying to cut through this big, beefy Mordekaiser. Will get taken down into the Death Realm. The last Obliterate actually isn't going to do it. But once again, who is there? Face to the wind there with their 6th kill of the game. And this game is starting to get a little bit dicey for both of these teams, as a matter of fact. That fight was a 4-for-3. It was real messy.
Yeah, this is ironically a situation where Face of the Wind is kind of popping up out of nowhere. Really didn't have too much of an early game. Actually got solo killed even and was pretty down compared to Anai, but is able to make some serious work in this mid game so far. Doing really well for themselves and for their team. And it looks like Tygoon has effectively transferred the lead, able to take their huge lead they had up top, and has been able to move it around the team a little easier.
They've been able to really reallocate their gold into from one carry, from this massive Mordekaiser on the top side. They've now sort of given the ball over to this Victor here, 6-3-2, has that Shadow Flame now complete, working on the C drive as well, so he's going to get a lot of movement speed now on the back end of their combos, get a lot of ability haste as well. Team Ishtar, despite not having the kill lead, they've got themselves a 3,000 gold lead, and they are looking poised to take down this top team in this Black Twitch League at the moment. So curious to see what they will do for the rest of this game. You know, we are only in week 3, so there is a lot that can change, but this could be one of the biggest upsets that we've had in BTL thus far this season.
I would say so. A team going from lossless and taking down the team, the team that is winless, taking down the team that is lossless is definitely a surmountable upset. Really, that's really well jobbed from honestly, really good job from Team Ishtar to put the side of Barber's Fan Club to the wall like they have, regardless if they win or lose here.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see how this game has evolved over time, and as we continue to watch the side of Team Ishtar really look to march down this base. You know, they don't have the Baron anymore, but Baron spawning in 15 seconds. It just seems as if they have solved Barber's Fan Club. They've solved what they wanted to do. Granted, there is a couple of substitutions coming through for Barber's Fan Club, so this isn't their full strength per se. It's still shocking nonetheless to see Team Ishtar, a team that looked, to not mince words, they didn't look very good in the first 2 weeks, to come in here and look way better.
Yeah, substantially. They have done really well for themselves this series, and regardless if they end up losing this or not, I definitely think that they've bought themselves back in, and at least, you know, people won't look at them as an easy win after this.
It's not necessarily just a free victory to throw around at will. It is a team that garners some level of respect, especially for some of these other top teams. You know, Barber's Fan Club, they've been the strongest team. They are looking poised to continue that trend. But regardless, as it stands right now, there is still a chance for Barber's Fan Club. What is their way back into this game?
I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a big combination between Bio and I with this ultimate, with these ultimates. You know, Lethality Graves, he's still doing a lot of damage, and Anai is still going to be able to get a big ultimate out as well. But
oh my goodness, but toted in the middle of everyone. You tried to get your combo down, but there was no shockwave to speak of. That's a tough one if you're the side of Barber's Fan Club, is you just give up with toted for nothing.
Yeah, with Toted kind of getting picked off there, and losing nothing out of it, it's just pretty tragic. As they're going to try to force the Baron out of desperation here, as they know that the Dragon's getting picked up on the other side of the map.
Yeah, this is their chance to try and get this. This is a 4v3, but never mind, it's a 3v3. But Zeri able to go supercharged here. Will get taken down by the long-range Super Mega Death Rocket, and it just looks like Team Ishtar are just a little bit too strong. Bio going to be able to survive that obliterate, but will get stunned up by the gravity field as the damage comes down. It's the ace for the side of Team Ishtar. They find a 5-for-1 fight. They lose only the Nautilus, and they're going to find the Dragon and the Baron, and they've got themselves a very substantial gold lead. It will be at 7,000 gold, 7,500.
That looked like it should have been so much better than it ended up being. There was a huge ultimate from Anai picking up all 3 people there, but Pixel Wolf gets sniped out by that cross-map rocket, and they ended up just going down in the end. Really tragic for the side of Barber's Fan Club, not able to pick up that last fight.
And it's tough because that was their one way to get back into this game. It was a desperation play. Look at the Baron. Look at the fight with only 3 members there. It was a 4v3. They weren't able to capitalize, and by the time Vaperito and Frostbite were able to join back up with their team, it was already over. They were able to secure that Baron, and this game is starting to get on to its last legs here. We need to see Anai find a massive shockwave onto Frostbite, onto Face of the Wind, onto Tygoon, all 3 of them, and shut them down from the onset and find some big damage coming through from this Zeri. Of note, Zeri now sitting on 3.5 items, so we're going to have to see something come through soon. This has to be the fight that you have to look for a fight at some point here. But Watoted here, going to try and kick that off with the wall dive here. Will be able to get on top of Face of the Wind. Will also be taken down now. Pixel Wolf in the Death Realm, working around that wall, doing a great job of kiting out Tygoon. Bud's going to pop out in front of 4 people. Double kill picked up by the Victor once again. Face of the Wind has faced his fears and has his face to the Nexus at this point. 10, 3, and 4. A massive game coming through from this Victor as they pick up 2 kills in the inhibitor.
Yeah, and you can see how so many of these team fights are closer than you would expect. So close for the side of Barber's Fan Club, you know. So many members almost about to go down on the side of Team Ishtar. And unfortunately, they're just not able to close out these fights like they want. And realistically, I think Pixel Wolf really needs to pick up a Black Cleaver here, because it synergizes so well with Zeri being able to get it almost instantly off of like a single auto attack, just a full clip of Black Cleaver passive. I really think that would be able to open up a lot of damage for their team, and allow their team to actually, you know, pump out some damage on their top side.
And she's able to spread it quite well because she's got this Renown's Hurricane, she's got the Titanic Hydra. She's going to be stacking this up on everyone.
Yeah. And it would be really good to see Pixel Wolf pick it up here. They've got the Hex Drinker. I really don't think that you need to upgrade all the way to Maw here. I really think that the Black Cleaver is the way to go.
And at this point, you start to run into the obstacle that champions like Zeri, like Jinx, and sometimes like even Victor, like all these carries can get, where you want to build 7 items. You only have 6 item slots. You don't have all of this capability to sit on a whole bunch of components at this stage. You're running out of item slots. So we'll have to see what Pixel Wolf wants to pick up in terms of that last item. If she finishes the Maw, if she goes for the Black Cleaver, if she goes for GA, there are a lot of options that you have to look at to a certain extent. But Pixel Wolf here trying to clear out these waves. Baron has expired for the side of Team Ishtar, but Vaperito moving forward.
Be going a little too forward.
Yeah, teleport coming in to try and save the game here from Watoted, but Watoted, I think you just stay on that bottom side, you try and pick up that objective bounty, as it ends up just being a teleport for nothing.
Yeah, they teleport in, they don't get much, really anything out of it. They do stop the push though. And now we're seeing the setup for this soul point for Team Ishtar. Tygoon notably is, you know, a quarter of a health down, and that could open up an avenue for the side of Barber's Fan Club going into this fight.
Yes, a quarter of the health down, but also 4.5 items. So a quarter of a health. It still means that this is Tygoon, a very tanky member of the side of Team Ishtar here. They're trying to find picks, they're trying to set up for this dragon, but with Soul being 15 seconds away, it seems like it is a done deal. This will be Soul picked up by Team Ishtar. I think the only saving grace is that it's a Cloud Soul.
Yeah, it's not a big deal for Barber's Fan Club. Cloud Soul isn't the worst thing in the world, you know. It's it's still a soul, but not a super punishing one. You know, this isn't Infernal or Hextech or God forbid Chemtech. But it's not the worst thing in the world for them, and they're just gonna give it away and focus on trying to get some more items on their main carries.
Of note, I'm super happy that Riot removed that. That was the worst thing to have in your games, whether you had it or whether you were playing against it, because it just forced so much around that dragon. Every single time a Chemtech dragon spawned, it was like, hey, team, if you don't come here, I'm going to flame you. In all chat, in full caps, come to dragon. It was effectively just, you have to 5v5 that dragon every single time because of how powerful the soul was.
Sounds like you're just talking.
I mean, usually, while Chemtech Soul was around, I'm pretty sure I did not turn on chat that entire time. So, just saying. Regardless, Baron going to be up on the table in 30 seconds here. This is going to be the last stand for the side of Barber's Fan Club. They have to try and find this.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's gonna really. Oh, but the thing is, Anaya is doing some serious damage now. Sitting out this 3.5 items. Nothing to scoff at this Orianna. If they get a big shockwave off, it could be the deciding factor for Barber's Fan Club to pull themselves fully into this.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult for them to find a flank because Watoda doesn't have that teleport. But yeah,
yeah, and oh, they are starting up this Baron. So they're gonna be forced. Barber's Fan Club's gonna be forced to try to react to this, whether they're gonna give it away. Yeah.
Interesting.
Looks like they're just not comfortable taking the fight.
They did not want to take that fight. They're gonna give over another Baron to the side of Team Ishtar. 8,000 gold lead here at 37 minutes. Granted, the gold lead starts to matter less and less as time goes on.
Yeah. As the gold for both sides get larger, 8K at 60 or 37 minutes when it's 68 to 60 does not matter as much as an 8K at 20 minutes when it's 28K versus 20K.
Yes, you can see it's getting to that point where we might be going down to an Elder Dragon fight. It's 3 minutes away. Elder Dragon ends the game for either team, I think. It doesn't matter how many dragons you've got. It doesn't matter what sort of gold deficit or gold lead you have. Elder Dragon can end the game, unless you're T1. T1 did win a game against Elder Dragon. How? Who knows? But like, it's basically just your perfect end game objective. Of course, we're still 3 minutes away from that, and we're still, a couple of fights away. I feel as just on the edge of our seats here. Bio so close to going down. Here comes the play from Watoda, though, going in 1v3, trying to just set this up. Bio's able to blow up Frostbite, but I don't think it's going to matter. Good shockwave going to land onto 2 members, but there's just too much damage from Team Ishtar. They will be known for this week as the Kingslayers. Watoda going to go down to that Death Realm as Tycoon is absolutely massive. My goodness, look at the size of that character model. But it will be Team Ishtar cleaning themselves up. A 5-for-1 team fight, a 2-1 series victory, and they will take down the Queens of the League in Barber's Fan Club.
I mean, I love the idea of trying to get that snap engage off on Frostbite, and it looked so good to start off, but they leave the flank completely exposed. Pixel Wolf and Rainbow Tails go down almost instantly because of that, and Rainbow Tails goes down with ultimate and was not able to get that off on anyone, even Pixel Wolf not being able to get the exhaust off. It's just so tragic because it could have been so much better after that initial pick off on Frostbite.
Yeah, on a nice edge at all moments was this series, but Barber's Fan Club gonna go down in a shocker in a lot of ways. After game 1, it was looking a little bit rough. It was rough around the edges for the side of Barber's Fan Club, but game 2 and game 3 really cemented that Team Ishtar was here to play, and they're here to stay.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was a really good effort for Team Ishtar, and it led to them winning this game. So I definitely think they played to their advantages. They saw, I don't know if they saw like in the first game where the mess ups were for the side of Barber's fan club. They identified where they could, play around the game. They saw Pixel or Frostbite doing so well on the boss side and wanted to give them a lot more control of the games or what. But they came in, they had their Wheaties before the matchup and they did really well.
Of course. And, it doesn't get easier for the side of Barber's fan club now is next week. They're looking down the barrel of who was the second ranked team here in MG Element. They're going to have a really tough matchup next week. So what do you think Barber's fan club need to do over the course of the next week to get themselves back in the right headspace after a really tough loss here?
Well, I think ideally they have their full roster. And I think that with that full roster, you ideally are able to, maybe fix up some of the draft problems. I think this last game draft was a lot better. But obviously with Toad just not having a fun time in the top lane, which led to Tygoon being able to swing a lot of this game back into their side. And yeah, I think draft is probably a lot of their issues, at least in the first two games. And this last game, definitely just a bit unfortunate team play when it came to working around these dragons and objectives.
Yeah, so as it stands right now, Team Ishtar are going to be known as those Kingslayers, as we said. They're going to be the ones to take down the old kings of the Black Twitch League, potentially making their case for their own royalty. But enough of that.
Right
enough
there.
of the old kings, new kings, all of those buzzwords, so to speak. We've got ourselves our second series of the night coming right up very soon here. We're going to have Spectre Gaming versus Trebuchet. Spectre Gaming looking to take advantage of but potentially weaker team Trebuchet here as we hop into our second game of the night. But we'll find out if Trebuchet can catapult themselves up to a victory. We will reset all of our overlays. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more Black Twitch League action on the other side of this break.